Okay, welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. My name is David Moore. I'm your host. What's up? It's the month of Virgo. We are on Sunday. Um, Yesterday we were working on Vignette, and we had like a question about Crochelle because he warms baths, or he warms the waters for you, and um, he discovers baths. And I was trying to figure out, like, alright, so the Pokemon are based off of these spirits. So how is Crochelle likitung? Like, likitung doesn't do anything with baths. Likitung doesn't go and find water. Like, there's nothing there that makes sense. But I did a little bit of research last night, and I found some interesting information, like trivia about Likitung and his origin. And it says he's an economy, a mythical yokai with a single claw on each foot and a gigantic tongue. Economy are known to lick filth out of bathhouses, similar to Likitung's habit of licking dirty things clean. So now that kind of makes sense, so we can tie in this duke named Crochelle and Likitung, and it might sound like they have nothing in common, but once you start doing some research and look at the origins of the Pokemon, you'll see that they have a lot in common. Today I want to work on Balam, which would be Rhyhorn or Rhydon in Pokemon. Since today's Sunday, you would want to work with the King. Today I used Vignette for spiritual workings, and it's pretty cool. So his abilities are Sun and Earl, but with Balam he's just a pure Sun. I think there was something that I wanted to work with when it came with the princes. Oh yeah, so let me see. The days and hours of the sun are very good for perfecting experiments regarding temporal wealth, hope, gain, fortune, divination, the favor of princes, to dissolve hostile feeling, and to make friends. So if we wanted to work with princes, those would be the Jupiter element, or the planet of Jupiter with the element of water. Its direction is northwest. The time of day is like during twilight, so right when the sun is going down and you can't see it anymore, and once it starts getting kind of dark, like around nighttime. So maybe like 7, 8, 9 o'clock ish. And Jupiter is also representative of Zeus, and I guess it can also be kind of seen as like a cloud, because like there's water and then it goes into being clouds and it creates a cycle. Let's see. For princes, for the favor of princes, I kind of want to try the experiment with that. Maybe next time I'll summon a king and then I'll ask him to help me with the prince. And I was going to go over one of the princes that are under Balam. So Rhyhorn, Rhydon. I was looking at his description, and I can't really like give you an exact idea of how they're connected and what the Pokemon creators were like pulling from this inspiration. It has 3 heads, first like a bull, a man, and a ram. So if you look at him, he is kind of strong like a bull. He stands on 2 feet, or he can stand on 4, and he has the head of a ram. So he kind of has that ability where he rams into things and breaks rocks. He has the tail of a serpent. If you look at Rhydon, his tail gets longer. Flaming eyes, I guess he has that more aggressive look. He rides upon a furious bear and carries a bush hawk upon his fist. If you look at him, he does kind of have like this bear shape to him. And he speaks with a hoarse voice, giving true answers to things past, present, and to come. He makes men to go invisible and also to be witty. Yeah. So let's go under his prince, would be Orobos. So he has one prince named Orobos. Let me see if he has anything else. Nope. Okay. Orobos is going to be Horsea or Seadra or Kingdra. And it's a prince, and its element is water, direction northwest, Jupiter. The metal is going to be tin. The 55th spirit is Orobos. He is a great and mighty prince, appearing at first like a horse. So now we got this idea like Horsea, this horse. So now we can get an idea like of a seahorse. Also, there's a lot of myths and stories about Poseidon creating horses from the ocean. So you can kind of see that in the sea foam when it's like kind of galloping through the ocean. You got to use your imagination. If you don't have one, I'm sorry. But after the command of the exorcist, he puts on the image of a man. You don't really see Horsea become a man, I guess maybe a kingdra, so maybe there's that, but he doesn't stand on 2 feet or anything like the other ones usually do. His office is to discover all things past, present, and to come. So he can help you do divination. Also to give dignities and prelacies and favor friends and foes. So I guess if you want to like elevate your status, he's somebody that can help you. He gives true answers of divinity and of the creation of the world. So maybe if you were like asking him questions about like angels or God or like how heaven works, he would help you be able to explain it better. And then the creation of the world. So maybe if you wanted to see how the world works or what it is made of, he could be somebody that can guide you through those experiences. He is very faithful unto the exorcist and will not suffer him to be tempted of any spirit. If you notice in Pokemon, Horsea's always next to Misty, protecting her in a way and just keeping her safe, even though he doesn't really do anything. But that's kind of cool to have like a favor of a prince, and having him help you in that direction. So let's look back onto that. A lot of it's trial and error, experimenting. Kind of like you do a spell and then you have to kind of just see what it affects and what you can learn from it, and then what you can do on the next time with it. The days and hours of Jupiter are proper for obtaining honors, acquiring riches, contracting friendships, preserving health, and arriving at all thou canst desire. So maybe on a Sunday like today, and you summon Balaam, and then you summon Ouroboros, and you can have them both work together to give you a lot of favors. Let's see. Perfecting experiments regarding temporal wealth. So I guess temporal wealth would be something like material wealth, right? Let's look it up. Let's look up temporal. In this book, it's good to look up the definition of the words they're using so you can get a better idea, because you might know or think what they mean, but then again, you're like, what? Alright, let's see. Temporal meaning. Relating to worldly as opposed to spiritual affairs, secular. So I guess it would be like material wealth. And you're like, I want actual money, not like heaven money or like spiritual wealth kind of stuff. Hope, gain, fortune, and divination. So I guess even when you work with the sun and that prince together, you could do a lot of good divination. Dissolve hostile feeling and to make friends. Dissolve hostile feeling and to make friends. So I guess, that's kind of interesting. Like maybe if you have like a lot of enemies and you want to make friends with them just to make things easier for you, doesn't mean you have to literally be their friend. Very good for perfecting experiments regarding temporal wealth, hope, gain, fortune, divination. Alright, let's look back onto what we have again. So we have Balaam. Under him is Alokis, and he's a duke, great, mighty, and strong, appearing in the form of a soldier riding upon a great horse. This one is going to be Chansey. So, well, first let's look at Rhydon real quick, and this is Balaam. If you notice, this one has kind of these like horns up here, kind of has this like rhino effect over here, like a rhino horn nose. I don't know, you could just see Rhydon and Rhyhorn in that one. But for the Chansey one, it would be this. Like, yeah. And you can kind of see Chansey in this. Maybe this is like her hands holding the egg, and these are her eyes, and this is kind of her hair coming out. But it also looks like the two gates that are in Jerusalem that Jesus is supposed to walk through. They're called Golden Gates or something, and like once he walks through them, it's like a sign that he's returned for his second coming. Alochis. The for 52nd spirit is Alokis or Alokas. He is a duke, so that means he's Venus, and green, love, and air. So his element would be air, and Chansey does not look like an air element. But it does have this Venus effect. This like has this like female look to it. He's great and mighty and strong. Appears in the form of a soldier or warrior riding upon a great horse. That you wouldn't even be able to get that from Chansey, because it doesn't look like a warrior and it doesn't look like it's riding a horse. His face is like that of a lion. That part's kind of weird too. Like his face is like that of a lion. Not really. He's more cute, round. but he does have like this hair that flips out kind of, even though he looks like one of those oxalotl thingies. He's very red and having flaming eyes. He's not very red and he doesn't have flaming eyes. He has like really happy, nice eyes. And I guess the red would be the pink. His speech is hoarse and very big, thus expressed in the codices. His office is to teach the art of astronomy and all the liberal sciences. He brings them to the good familiars. He's bringing you good familiars, which kind of makes sense because he has the little egg pouches, so maybe he's giving you all these familiars, and that's kind of how they might have represented it. So I guess if you work with Balaam, and you talk to him and get aloe keys to come out, and you could kind of do something there. Cameo or Came. I'm also trying to do like ideas on binding. So another thing that I noticed was that with the rituals or the bindings and the ceremonies, they kind of represent the sun rising and maybe before the sun rises. So like when it's dawn or whatever, right before sunrise, and you're like, all right, you're pulling the sun. You're like, come out, sun. I need you to do what I want. You have to listen to me, or else bad things are gonna happen, and I'm not gonna let you be happy. And so you're kind of pulling it out, and then the sun does come up, and then you kind of bind it, and you like interrogate it, and you force it to submit to you, and then and then you like greet it, and you thank it, and then you send it off on its way. Let's see if I can find that. The part 3 conjuration. So you're gonna do the first conjuration, the second conjuration, then the constraint, and then the potent invocation of his king, and then the general curse, and then a conjuration of fire, a greater curse, and address him to the spirit and his coming. You welcome the spirit's dignity, and then I think a license to depart. So it's kind of like the sun's rising. So you're like summoning the sun, you start rising, let it go, and then it starts flying on its own and doing its own thing. So while the sun's moving, it's kind of doing all this magic for you. And alright, so the next one we have is Cameo or Came, and he's a president. In Pokemon, he would be Tangela. This one's very interesting and kind of, you would have to do a little bit of research to figure it out, but once you do, you'll notice some similarities. He's a great president, so that means he can go here to there, and appears in the form of a bird called a thrush. If you look at Tangela, it looks like a knot, like a lot of different vines wrapped up. And it has like these two eyes, and in the center is kind of black. But if you ever look up what a thrush is, it's a certain bird that when it builds its nest, it gets a whole bunch of different leaves and creates a nest, but it looks like Tangela. Just like Tangela, it has a hole, it has like a round circumference to it, and it puts its eggs inside, and the eggs are blue. So that kind of gives you an idea why his vines are blue, and it just makes a lot more sense once you look at it. Because once you look at the picture of the bird's nest and Tangela, they look exactly the same. But afterwards, he puts on the shape of a man, carrying in his hand a sharp sword. He seems to answer in burning ashes or coals of fire. He is a good disputer. His office is to give unto men the understanding of all birds, lowing of bullocks, barking of dogs and other creatures, and also the voice of the waters. He gives true answers of things to come. He was of the order of angels. Cameo is kind of interesting. This is his sigil. That does nothing look like Tangela. Maybe that thing looks like Tangela. Maybe those look like vines. Who knows? I always think of it like as a witch's hammer or something for some reason. But he speaks in burning ashes or coals of fire. He's a good disputer. Gives understanding of all birds, lowering of bullocks, barking of dogs. So I guess he can help you understand things, and he gives true answers of things to come. We're gonna go to the next one, which is Murmur or Murmus, and he is a great duke and an earl, and appears in the form of a warrior riding upon a griffin. That one would be Kangaskhan. And then when you look at Kangaskhan, you're like, what? But he does look kind of like a griffin. He has like this beak, and he has this animalistic body. And he kind of does have like a little bit of a crown kind of thing. So you might be like, what? And then if you look at his shiny, it's kind of green, and he's kind of orange. So those are the two colors that he represents. And his shoulder pads look like they're made out of wings, almost like they have this wing shape to them. So he kind of does look like a griffin. There do go before him his ministers with great trumpets sounding. His office is to teach philosophy perfectly and to constrain souls deceased to come before the exorcist to answer those questions which he may wish to put to them if desired. Yeah, so I haven't really, I've worked with them before, but I don't really know how I would use them or utilize them fully. So maybe I could start doing things where I have them all laid out, and then I can see which each one does for me during that day. So we already did Ouroboros, which is horsea, and then 56 is Gremory or Gomori. The 56 spirit is Gremory or Gomori. This would be Seeking or Goldine. He is a duke, strong and powerful, and appears in the form of a beautiful woman with the Duchess's crown tied about her waist and riding on a great camel. Goldine does have that feminine look. She's very pretty, kind of, yeah, appears kind of womanly. His office is to tell all things past, present, and to come, and of treasures rid, and what they lie in, and to procure the love of women, both young and old. And a lot of girls love Goldine because it's such a pretty Pokemon. But then it turns into Seeking afterwards, which is kind of funny. But it's a duke. I don't know what its shiny looks like. I think it's like yellowish, but maybe that's supposed to be like a green copper color. Okay, the next one is Ose or Voso. The 57th spirit is Oso, Ose or Voso. He is a great president, appears like a leopard at first, but after a little time puts the shape of a man. I think that one's supposed to be Starmie and Staryu. Let me just double check to make sure, because I do not want to get it wrong, but yeah. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, like these ones, I feel like they're very difficult to understand sometimes. Yeah, it was Starmie and Staryu. Also, let's look at something real quick. The magical circle. In the magical circle, there's this stars that you're supposed to use, and it's right here. And these are going to be yellow with red on the inside, and that's kind of what Staryu looks like. But I don't think that they had anything to do with Ose. He puts on the shape of man. His office is to make one cunning in liberal sciences and give true answers to divine and secret things. Also to change a man into any shape that the exorcist pleases, so that he is changed will not think any other thing than that he is a verity or that creature or thing that he is changed into. So I guess you could say that it transforms people to whatever you want. 58 is Amy or Avnas. That would be Mr. Mime. He is a great president, appears in the first form of a flaming fire. I guess his hair looks kind of fiery if you look at it. After a while, he puts on the shape of a man. His office is to make one wonderfully knowing in astrology and all the liberal sciences. He gives good familiars and can beray treasure that is kept by the spirits. So we'll look up what a beray means, so we can figure out what it is that he's doing exactly. Reveal, divulge, or expose something, often unintentionally or prodigiously. I don't know what that could mean. Maybe he just helps you look for things like treasures. He's a good treasure helper. So if we have a president, so that would be an earth element. We have another earth element, which would be Starmie or Staryu. Kind of does have an earth element to it, because Starmie and Staryu are both kind of have these crystals or gems that are associated with them. And if you look at Starmie, it is purple, and it is a president, so presidents are usually purple or yellow actually. And then Amy or Mr. Mime, he has like a pink, but he also has like this blue, but he also has, he's psychic, so that's a purple color too, because of the third eye. Gremory Gamari is Goldine. So we have Goldine, Horsea, Kangaskhan, Tangela, Chansey, and Rhyhorn. So we already have a couple of those guys going through the story. Alright, and then I think there's a couple more before we finish. There's two more. So Oriax or Orias, and this one is a Marquise. He appears in the form of a lion, riding upon a horse, mighty and strong, with the serpent's tail. Oriax or Orias is Scyther, and it's a Marquise. So silver, I guess his claws are kind of silver. But he's a green Pokemon. Let's see what his shiny looks like. Let's see if that makes a difference. Usually I'll look at their shiny and see if like they knew what they would be when it comes to like if they're associating it completely with the element or the colors of the planet. This one, I don't see his shiny yet. Oh, I guess his shiny's kind of like just a more green color or a more turquoise color. Yeah, I can't tell. Yeah, it looks like kind of turquoisey. But whatever. If you look at his sigil, it kind of looks like Scyther. You know, has like the wings and kind of the claws. This one was Mr. Mime. I guess, I don't know, that looks funny as hell. So, Scyther, riding upon a horse, mighty and strong, with a serpent's tail, and holds in his right hand 2 great serpents hissing. I guess his like little claws are his 2 serpents in his hands. His office is to teach the virtues of the stars, and know the mansions of the planets, and how to understand their virtues. He also transforms men, and he gives dignities, prelacies, and confirmation thereof. Also favor with friends and with foes. So now we have a Marquise, which is a moon sign. So far we have a Sun, a Venus, a Mercury, a Venus, and a Mars, a Jupiter, a Venus, Mercury, the Moon. And then we have Vapula or Nofula. And the 60th spirit is Vapula or Nofula. He is a Duke, great, mighty, and strong, appearing in the form of a lion with griffin's wings. This would be Jynx. So it's a Duke, so that means it's associated with Venus, so I guess that's where that love and the femininity appears in. Appears with a lion with griffin's wings. I guess its hair is kind of long like a lion's mane, and it looks kind of like wings fanning out a little bit. His office is to make men knowing in all handcrafts and professions, and you can see that in his hands. Also in philosophy and other sciences. He governs 36 spirits. Alright, yeah, I usually think too, like with wind, so if these spirits are more of the nighttime, because Balam is around the time of day when the sun has kind of set already, and then you have, I guess that would, like, if the wind was blowing, it would be kind of icy, right? It would be more colder, so maybe that's where they got the ice for Jynx. Aureax or Aureas, so I know for a fact that they took, this was their blueprint, so they were like, alright, we have this spirit, and we need to make it into a Pokemon, and we have all this other, like, yokai and different ideas that we can incorporate into this, into that, and make one Pokemon where that's how they develop it. Because I know there's going to be people that say, like, no, that's not true, this is weird, that doesn't make sense, but it does. So I guess, okay, so once we summon Balam, and he's the king, and he brings over a Duke, which will be Venus. He's also a teacher of astronomy. Okay, so this part always confuses me, like, what would I use them for? How could I incorporate them into the ritual? Cameo, so a president comes in, so Venus, Mercury, so maybe there's love, there's messages, there's more love, and some kind of force, like a warrior, and then a prince. And then you have Venus again. Oh, I have this little thing that helps me kill the stupid flies that come around me. There's like these little midge flies that are really annoying. Alright, let's see. It's a lot of Venus energy, so I guess it would be really good, and a lot of Mercury, so maybe he's like moving a lot of stuff. And then the Marquise is there, so I guess what he could do is kind of like spread this love, send it where he wants, and he also has like this force or strength, and then he has the ability to make wealth from it. Caught him. And then he also has the ability to still move around, open doors, and find things, or to like use Venus energy. I don't know. Balam is kind of confusing a little bit to me. and how I could use him and his like little horde of spirits or attendants. Because you could see the king and then whatever else he has, and then there's a next king. So after him would be Zagon, which would be Electabuzz. But I don't want to go that far yet right now. But and then the next one would be Eevee, which is Belial, and then I think he's the last one for that. So let's see. Kings may be bound from 9 till 12 till noon at noon, and from 3 to sunset. I think when you bind them, maybe that's like a good time to, I don't know, ask them questions or tell them like program them or do things where you give them energy maybe. I always see it like a chain or a spirit's chain. I feel like there's a lot that we could try to like look into and figure out and make happen. Alright, so we're in the month of Virgo. I've noticed there's been like lots of fights and lots of physical interactions with people. So I've seen like people fighting on the streets, people fighting in the house, people fighting at other people's houses. So I think Virgo is a month of materialism where it's like more physical action. Let's see, and then we have today would be a Sunday. So if we have the sun and the earth, well, the sun, the king, the earth, Mercury, and that's presidents. So I guess it would be sun and Mercury right now. A lot of energy for that. How can we think of that? So if the sun is the king and then you have the president and the king working together, maybe it has like a lot of opportunities for wealth and money, but also maybe you have to maybe kind of be witty or tricky. Let's look into like Mercury and what its abilities are real quick. The days and hours of Mercury are good to operate for eloquence and intelligence, promptitude in business, science and divination, wonders and apparitions, answers regarding the future. Thus can operate under this planet for thefts, writing, decease, and merchandise. Let's see. When we're doing the moon. Because if we do the moon, it's going to be in Virgo. Because what we're going to do is the month is going to be the moon. So for the whole month of September, it's going to be Virgo, so that's going to be the moon for September. You could do it like the other way where you look it up and see what the moon is, but this is how it's going to be. Alright, so for those matters then which appertain unto the moon, such as the invocation of spirits, the works of necromancy, and the recovery of stolen property, it is necessary that the moon should be in a terrestrial sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So during the months of Virgo, or the month of Virgo, you can invocate spirits, works of necromancy, recovery of stolen property. Let's see. And then if we have Balaam, and what can he do? He speaks with the hoarse voice, answers things past to come. He makes men to go invisible and be witty. Also, like, let's kind of look into that. Like, he can make men go invisible. I guess that's because, like, the sun is going down. That kind of represents that invisibility. Things past, present, to come. Makes men go invisible and be witty. Okay. Let's see. Liberal sciences. Flaming eyes, running kind of furious. Stress. Things to come. So there's a lot of divination that you can do with Balaam to learn like what's gonna happen next. So maybe you could do tarot readings on days like this and get some information. Alright, I'm gonna work on some stuff real quick and then I'll be back.